Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Music Podcast once again. Thank you to my subscribers and my return visitors. So appreciate you. It's always great to have you here. If you're not a subscriber, please consider hitting that button. I've got a great guest with me today, Mr. Stephen Chesney of Agents of Your Demise, a super group of sorts, and we'll talk about that label a little bit. It's kind of a no these days, but Stephen is a U.S. based English guitarist, songwriter, producer. Beyond his work with Agents of Your Demise, Stephen has composed, performed, and recorded for numerous television shows and channels like Discovery Channel, Animal Planet, MSNBC, and more. He also stays busy as a session musician, writing and performing on studio recordings for artists across all kinds of genres. Agents of Your Demise is what we're talking about today, though, and they have a new single out called Sick Existence, and apparently they have a full-length album coming our way, and we're going to talk about that. Stephen, thanks so much for being here, man.
Hey, thank you for having me, Scott. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about this supergroup thing.
hmm
Well, let me state the lineup just so people are clear here. Eric Dover, slash the Snake Pit, one of my favorite bands, Jellyfish. Uh, Billy Sheehan, Mr. Big, Sons of Apollo. God knows everything that Billy's had his hands in. The Talus, all kinds of stuff. Ray Luzier, Korn's drummer. Dizzy Reed, of course, Guns N' Roses. If anything is a supergroup, this is. And yourself playing all guitars on this. It's just pretty spectacular, man. How did all of this come together? I mean, this is a hell of a lineup.
Well, just so no one thinks that I'm under any false conceptions here, supergroup except for getting a guitar player. I'm the new guy. It's okay. Um, this all started going like back. I moved to LA in 2012 and started after a couple of years there. I think it was like 2015. I started to play at a couple of the jams in Hollywood, and
Now, those are Chuck
I
Wright's Ultimate Jam things.
right,
Yeah.
right, right. Chuck is a great dude, and
Great.
him. It was Chuck and Matt Starr that
Yeah.
gave me a shot down there because Eric and I had got to know each other a few years prior, and one night I get a phone call. So I used to go down and jam with Eric at like a little side gig he'd do when he's in town, and he's like, Matt Starr's down here. He runs the jam in Hollywood. He needs to see you play. And I was like done for the evening. It was like 9:30. I didn't want to get ready and drive an hour away and everything. He's like, no, he has to see you play. All right. So I head down there and uh he got me up there and we did Hot for Teacher. And Matt was like, dude, I do this jam in Hollywood. Do you want to come play Van Halen? We're doing a Van Halen night in a couple of weeks. Yeah, I do. Yes, thank you. And so Matt had enough faith in me that my very first time down there, he put me with Ray and Billy, and we
No pressure.
yeah, no pressure. And we got up and we did Yankee Rose. And so like literally first time meeting Billy and Ray was like 5 minutes before we went on to go do
Wow.
Yankee Rose. So yeah, that was a little intimidating.
I
First
bet.
time really being like playing down in Hollywood at that point too. And so that went, it went well. And a couple of weeks went by, and I got asked if I wanted to go down and play again. And Matt was going to play drums, and Billy was there, and Michael Starr from Steel Panther was singing, and they asked me to go in and play Shy Boy. So went in, did Shy Boy with them, and then the next week I was asked back again, and it was Billy and Ray. So, okay, we did Hot for Teacher, and so I got to know those guys a little bit, and so that was kind of my introduction to them, and so we would jam fairly regularly, and then they relocated to Nashville. So we had spoken about doing things, but due to scheduling and everything else, it never quite, came to be. And fast forward, we had a few times where things nearly happened. It didn't quite get there. And then finally, unfortunate as it was, the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, literally, I was playing in a cover band at the time, like for extra work, and we had a year's worth of dates booked and then all
Wow.
gone.
Yeah.
And so, the world shut down, and it's like, okay, well, now what the hell do I do?
Right.
And
Right.
so,
It was a tough time.
yeah, and so, a couple of months went by, and I had these, I had probably seven or so of the songs already kind of written. And I asked Eric, hey man, do you have any time now? Would you be able to do this? And he's like, yeah, man, absolutely. So I contacted Billy. Billy's like, I'm down. Let's make this happen finally. So I had a drum track from an album that nearly came to be that didn't. And so I used that kind of for the demo. We did our first track with Billy and Eric and with the existing drum track, and it sounded really good. And so I was like, "Hey, you guys, you want to do another one?" And everyone was like, "Yeah." So then from there, I said, "Hey, do you think we can get Ray? Is Ray busy at the moment?" So I contacted Ray, and Ray was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So we did a song like the four of us. That was the first time that we did like the full four piece of that lineup,
Yeah.
and it went well enough that we was like, all right, well, let's go back and we'll do the first song over again. So Ray retracked the drums, so that it was his drum track, and things changed a little bit there. And then from there, it turned into a full length record. So it was like
It's great.
some good came from it. And it's funny
Uh,
that now it's 2025, and I'm talking about a project that started at the end of 2020,
right.
but it progressed to where, jumping forward a few years there, just to complete the whole lineup, it came to be that a couple of the songs I had already done kind of piano demos for, but I'm no pianist. I can get by.
Right.
And I spoke with Eric, and I'd met Dizzy before, and we'd met in passing, but that was one, he's the one guy I'd not played with. But I'm a huge Guns fan. I was like, do you think we could get Dizzy involved in this? He's like, yeah, I think so. I'll ask him. And so he spoke with Dizzy, and he's like, yeah, absolutely. I want to do this. And so Dizzy didn't get on board until the beginning of 2024.
Yeah.
So even though it took a while to get to this point, it all worked out the right time, the right way, even though it had its frustrating moments getting to that point. But
Right.
I say that there was no way to make an abridged short version of that. That over 5 year span, that
Right.
was that's
That
still the
was the
short,
short.
that's still the condensed version of how things came to be.
Totally, totally. And I think these guys have played with the best players in the world. I mean, they're you're asking them and they're saying yes right away. It's that's a tremendous respect for your playing for sure. They don't just play with everybody. They have to pick and choose because everybody wants them to play. So it's tremendous that that they responded to you the way they did, and it's a big testament to what you're putting out there. This
And
is
it,
great.
yeah, it was also, and I say this in the best possible way, but it was also only put on by myself, but it was also a heck of a lot of pressure because, this is
Sure.
my, potentially this is my one shot to do something is what I'm thinking, with these
Right.
guys. I have to make this count. And
Right.
so no matter how many times I've played with them, no matter how close, I am with like Eric, and, I've known these guys for years now, there's still fanboy that I have to, push down, from when I was a kid that's still
Right.
there. And so I have to tell myself, you better make sure that you can do something that they aren't embarrassed being in their catalog. You better make sure that you can at least keep up a little bit, because it's like no one's gonna out vie Steve Vai. No one's gonna outdo anything like that. So it's like I have to do my own thing, but it has to at least be good enough to sit within a catalog to where if one song goes from one band to our band to something else, there isn't this huge drop off,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And so, it was also an amazing learning experience as a result because of that. Because yeah, like I had to always in the back of my mind was make sure what you're doing, you're not going to be embarrassed for them to hear.
Yeah.
So yeah, it
Yeah.
was it was a really, really cool thing to
It,
do.
it's really great. And that's just it. There are great players out there that, they don't write great songs sometimes. So, it's you had that for them. Yeah, he's a great
Hope so.
player. Yeah, and then they hear the songs and it's like, yeah, I want to be a part of that. That's it's good stuff.
Well,
Uh
that was not to interrupt. I
uh-huh.
apologize. That was one of the things is one of the songs on the album called Seven Reasons was a track that I'd written the demo for back in like 2016. And I remember I sent it to Billy because I'd started to write stuff with Billy in mind. So I'd
Okay.
track stuff like doing my Billy, like my bad Billy impression on the bass and stuff as well.
Right.
And we played at the Whiskey one night. And I remember Billy, he yelled at me down the hallway. He's like, "Hey, Fever." I'm like, "Yeah, good song." Cool. So fast forward, like 5 years from there, we start putting this stuff together. A completely different song at this point, but it's like it had taken, that long to get to this point with stuff that I'd written, with some of them in mind. So it's been
Yeah.
fun.
That's what I was wondering when you were writing that. Did you have this band in mind? And some yes, some no, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Like and some of them, even if I'd written them in a way that just turned my mic
Yep.
off. I told you I was going to do that. Um, there was some that I'd written that weren't in any sort of mind for this project, but the cool thing was they were easy to adapt. Like there were certain things that
Right.
I knew I could change. Like the first song that we put out, "Nothing's Made to Last," was a lot more like kind of straight ahead Guns N' Roses. Like I'd done like a strictly rhythm guitar in one speaker, like a lead guitar in the other, and it was done as if it was like a two guitar band kind of thing. Very same song, but very different.
Right.
And so once it was these guys, it was cool because I'd get like Billy's bass part back, and I'd go, oh, now I can do some completely different stuff with this. So like suddenly I didn't have to think of it as two different people. I was able to do everything as just like, okay, if I was up there, we was a four-piece band doing some of this stuff, what would I do as just the guitar player?
Yeah.
And yeah, so there was stuff that I adapted. And then there were things that I'd written years ago, hoping, when we were talking about putting things together, because there was a time, I think it was like 2017, it nearly happened to where the leadoff song on the record, Hat on a Hat, um, we were going into the studio, me, Billy Sheehan, and Greg Bissonette, the Eat 'em and Smile lineup.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, good.
and it was about to happen, and then it didn't. And I'd written that very much with those guys in mind.
Uh,
So when this came about, like that was ended up being the second song that we did, the first song with Ray involved, and that was fun because it was like, okay, Ray, just do the silliest, craziest stuff you possibly can, because if I don't get to do any more of this is my shy boy, like ode to shy boy and addicted to that rush. Like this is my
Right.
love song to those songs. So it was, yeah. So most of it was written for these guys, but it was adapted and kind of, um, and it was super cool to hear their spin on stuff as well, because a couple of them, I mean, none of it's like super simplistic, but some of it I would say is more simple than you would usually hear them play.
Mhm.
And it they pulled it from that so that it was more complex, but at the same time it was still kind of dialed back a little bit. And so you get this really cool kind of mesh like in between. And so for me it's fun to hear that because it's like what I'd always
Sure.
wondered how things would sound, and it worked out the way I wanted it to.
Yeah, that's it. And you know, having these guys is you know, it's an artillery. You know, I'm thinking writing for Billy Sheehan's got to be difficult. He's almost a lead player, you know. Yeah, but plays to this at the same time, plays to the song. If you have a
Yeah,
simple part for him, he nails it. But if you have something insane for him, he can surely go insane. So
yeah.
you know, it's you. Does it help with the writing? Is it easier for you to write for a guy like him? Or is it, you know, it's got to be daunting and, you know, a little intimidating, sure, but it opens you up to a little bit of freedom with the writing, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's at the beginning, it was more daunting while I was getting used to it, especially with that song "Hat on a Hat," because there is a whole dual tapping intro, like "Addicted to That Rush,"
Right.
um, and Billy, obviously, like some of this stuff, we did it remotely. So he was in Nashville,
Mhm.
and I'm in LA, and he's like, "Well, I want to make sure this is dead on. Can you film yourself playing this for me?" Okay.
No.
So I've got to teach Billy something. I don't want to do this. So, there was things like that I had to get over, pretty quick. And then the funny thing was by the end of it, I mean, this might sound terrible, but it was one of these things to where at first where I was sending really intricate demos, I had ideas of what I would do, but I knew I was going to get something back that would be so far from the realm of, like, even if I'm doing a Billy impression, no one's Billy.
Right.
So you get the drum tracks done, you get the bass track done, and you get it back, and you like I would send them just something simplistic at that point. It's like as long as the song part is vaguely together,
Yeah.
then just let them go, because then I will probably end up rewriting stuff once I get their parts. And that happened a lot as well, because once I had that, it's like I've got all the range in the world to do whatever I want with, because it's not like there's
Right.
nothing to be creative with there, you know?
Right.
So, it was definitely all it was always daunting, not to say it never was, but it got easier and more fun as it went along, because then it became okay, this is a bad project at this point. This is not like, you know, me and Oliver saying, "Can I have some more, please?" So
Right.
this
Right.
was at that point it became, very, very fun.
Yeah. Oh, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's a, you know, it's a weapon. This band, you know, is really great. It's cool. Is it a one-off thing? You know, I'm looking at it, I'm like, these guys are busy. They all have other projects going on and they're touring and everything else. Will they have time for this again? So, you know, for another record? Or is this, you know, did you plan this as a one-off thing?
Well, the funny thing with that was, I mean, I planned it originally as a one song thing that then became a two-song thing that then became an album. So,
Cool.
um, the probably the most accurate answer to that is I don't think there's anything stopping us doing another album. Um, I don't think realistically that the lineup would ever be able to tour. Because oh, there goes my phone. I apologize. Am I here? I think
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
here.
Yep.
Um, I don't think there's a way that I can um, ask Jonathan Davis and Korn to
Right.
pause because I need Ray to do something.
Right.
So um, I think it would be difficult to do any kind of live shows with this particular lineup. But I do believe that the songs will be played live. I think Eric and I have talked a lot about doing them live. And if Billy's schedule lines up, I think he would probably do it. So there's possibilities for that. And for in terms of doing another record, if there's demand there, if people hear it and they want us to do it, then absolutely, I think that can happen.
Man, that's exciting, man. It's exciting to hear. Yeah, I have to bring this up a little bit off the beaten path. February 9th, 93, Jellyfish's Spilt Milk comes out. It's one of my favorite records ever. You know, it's a ton different than what you're doing. You know, a traditional pop record.
Yeah,
May 11th, 1993. It was a hell of a year. Cry of Love's Brother album, another of my favorite records of all time, comes out. And you've got a little touch of Cry of Love in your history with Robert Mason. You
yeah.
know, second singer for the Diamonds and Debris album, which I also love. Uh, those little things, those little influences, coming from those two very different bands. Do you feel like those bands work their way into the music you've done?
Absolutely. Like Cry of
Yeah.
Love is like probably my second favorite band of all time.
Yeah.
Kelly Holland was a friend of mine before he passed.
Ah,
Because I lived in North Carolina before I moved to LA. So
okay.
I got to know those guys because they were a North Carolina band. Jason
Yeah.
Patterson, the drummer, is a good friend of mine now, and Jason is probably somebody that I would call to do some live stuff because Jason is an unbelievable drummer.
Oh,
Um,
that's great. I had a chance
and
to see them back in the day, and I was just I'd still blown away as how great they were. It
yeah,
just incredible band.
Kelly is. I mean, I know there's a million singers that we can say it about, but he is one of the most criminally underrated singers of all time. He
Absolutely.
of that generation had the music not been changing and everything. That was should have been our Paul Rogers for that
I was
particular
gonna say
generation.
that's exactly what I was gonna say. I felt like I was seeing a young Paul Rogers.
Yeah,
Uh,
Kelly was
oh,
just amazing,
yeah,
and so everything everything Cry of Love does seeps in somewhere, and there's a song, I think it's the fourth song on the record, which you would never think sound like Cry of Love because it ended up a lot more rocked up, but the riff itself started out as a neck pickup strat riff because I'm a huge Audley Freed fan, and in fact, I've done some stuff for Seymour Duncan for Guitar World magazine, and there's one particular uh, demo video I did where I think probably 80% of the riffs I used were actually Cry of Love riffs that I'd snuck in that no one realized. And there's a few people you see in the comments are like, I hear you, I know what you're doing, Audley Freed.
that's
So
great.
yeah, like everything that Cry of Love did, you know, has influenced stuff, and that second record is really good. And I that was how Robert and I met. I went to see when I first moved to LA. I went to see Warren, and I tracked him down at the end of the gig, and I was like, you know, I like Warren. I love what you're doing, but I'm here because I'm a huge Cry of Love fan. He was like, oh. And so that was how we got talking. And so, yeah, we ended up doing a EP together in 2014.
Mhm.
And that was with uh, Harry from Firehouse and Striper.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
we had Scott Coogan from Bride and Destruction, Coco Powell from Edgar Winter's band. You know,
that's awesome.
that was a lot of fun as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, Cry of Love, Guns N' Roses, and Van Halen is all snuck into this record.
And that's cool. And it's great when because I'm a huge Cry of Love fan too, and I don't see too many people when I say Cry of Love, they don't know what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, you know.
Oh, you know what? I don't know where it's gone now, but I actually have a very rare Cry of Love patch, usually behind me, and I spent far too much money on a Cry of Love T-shirt from a North Carolina live gig too, so I've got that around here somewhere as well. I'm
Just
a massive COL fan.
Man, that's just great. That is just awesome. Because really, I mean, anybody listening who hasn't heard the band, either of those records, the Brother record or Diamonds and Debris, just listen to it. Just you'll be a fan. If
Yes.
you love great rock and roll and that blues classic rock
Yep.
thing, it's just unparalleled. It's just so good.
And track down the live bootlegs on YouTube as well, because and also if you really want to get deep into it, if you ever listen, did you ever listen to The Point, which that was Kelly Holland's band pre Cry of Love,
Ah,
and they were amazing as well. So yeah, so if you haven't, check out Kelly from Cry of Love and The Point, their live stuff, their bootlegs from like the late '80s, early '90s before Cry of Love as well. Amazing.
I'll have to dive for sure. Yeah, it's pretty great. They did a song, totally sidetracked here. They did a song called Broken Toy when I saw them. And is it recorded anywhere? I haven't been able to find it on anything.
Only live bootlegs. I did a gig with a good friend of mine, Sean Pallotta, who's an amazing singer. We did a show years ago, a one-off acoustic gig, and we covered Broken Toy, because
Ah,
that is an amazing, incredible song. And if anybody hears it, the band version is amazing, but there's a version from a German records store signing they did, an acoustic version on YouTube
oh,
that is incredible.
man, oh man. And
One of the best songs.
I've heard it once, from the gig, and I thought, I this is fantastic. I can't wait for it to be on the next record. And the next record with Kelly, of course, didn't happen.
Yep.
And it wasn't on with Robert doing it, and Diamonds
hmm
Are Free. So I'm like, that song is gone.
I spoke to Jason years ago about that. And it was before any like project like this happened and before I'd gone to LA and everything. So I was very, very green. And I asked him, could we record this and do a cover of it? And he asked Audley for me, and Audley was like, you know what? You can, but I would prefer if you don't.
Ah,
No, it was no offense because that song, I
sure.
don't know who I'm saving it for,
Yeah.
but I'm saving it for something. And I was like, you know what? I completely understand that.
Yep. Yep.
And that was like 2000, probably 2010. So it's still not appeared anywhere yet. But man,
Yeah.
that is one of the best songs that no one's ever heard, and it's
Yep.
it's unbelievable.
It's just a great band all around, man. So
Yes,
cool, so cool. Um, no tour on this or anything, but have you thought about putting another band together,
yes.
and doing these songs?
Yes, and
Yeah,
Eric and I have spoken about that. And so then it's just a case of, seeing who would be available. Obviously I'd love for Billy to do some shows if he can,
sure.
depending on his schedule. I don't think it would happen with Ray just because, he's very, very tied in, to what he's doing.
Yeah.
In fact, I think even in his own, his other projects, he doesn't play live with anything outside of Corn.
Mhm.
So, that's something that I'm aware of. But outside of that, I think everyone involved would play live shows. And so that's the hope. And if the demand's there, I guess it'll happen because
Yeah,
we want to do it. So I guess we'll see.
it's cool, man. I can't wait. Yeah. New self-titled album, Agents of Your
Yes.
Demise.
Agents of Your Demise is going to be name, band, and album on this one. I think it's self-explanatory.
Yeah, yeah, it's very cool, man. Very cool. StephenChesney.com, agentsofyourdemise.com. You can hear samples on agentsofyourdemise.com until it comes out,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's pretty great, man. Stephen, thanks so much for being here, man. This was great.
Hey, thank you very much for having me, and thank you for being a huge Cry of Love fan as well, man.
And thank you, man. That's just great. I just love that. Yeah,
Likewise, likewise.
let's do it again, man. If you get a tour together and when the album starts taking off, yeah, come on back. My door's always open, man.
I would absolutely love to. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Very cool. Have a good one, Steven. Thank you.
You too, dude. Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.